Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VeryReasonablePilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling good. I'm looking even better. I definitely didn't just roll out of bed. But I have a new television show for you.
I'm excited. You know, you've been built. You've had a lot of time to craft this, much longer than normal.
Jesus Christ.
You know, so I expect nothing but
that.
the absolute best.
Oh no, you're gonna be so disappointed. So, I actually do have a title for this one, which I think is
That's better than normal. Don't sell yourself short. Usually don't have titles.
No. Scum Sucker is the title.
Okay.
Alright. A vigilante vampire dark comedy about Fred, the psycho, a misanthropic youth who becomes infected by the vampiric curse when he decided to give blood. Alright?
So he gives blood and he gets... that's pretty funny. Alright.
So he's going to be, you know... It's kind of... I was in our hiatus. I decided to read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, which is a comic created by the creator of Invader Zim, Jonan Vasquez, and it's like a dark comedy, very dark, like black comedy about a serial killer, and it's, you know, goofy and silly, but it's also very fucked up and dark. And so I just kind of wanted to make something a bit similar to that. So we're going to be making a dark comedy about this guy. He's a vampire, and he is dubbed by the media Scum Sucker because he keeps drinking the blood of scum of society, of drug dealers, murderers, serial killers, stuff like that.
I was very nervous.
Yeah.
I was very nervous at what you were going to say.
Who knows where he got the name from? But that's how he gets the name, is that there's going to be like a newspaper, and they're going to dub him the Scum Sucker, because he's, you know, because obviously people don't believe in vampires, but this guy keeps, you know, draining the blood of all of the scum of the city. And so it's basically going to be like a comedy of errors in a sense, because he's not really going to be looking to do good things, but he's going to do good things kind of by accident. So
he's like he's like a anti-hero, you know, but
kind of like an anti-hero. But also like attempting to like strike fear, because, you know, at first he's not going to really embrace the idea of being a vigilante, but as the series goes on, he's going to be more, you know, excited about like striking fear into the hearts of criminals, but he's also still just like a total fucking nerd. Like, he's super lame, so he doesn't really know how to strike fear into the heart of anybody. So we're doing a comedic 11-minute episodes of Scum Sucker attempting to strike fear into the heart of criminals and become a creature of the night.
Oh. How does vampirism work in this world? Is it like... Is he strong?
Yeah, I would say it's classic Dracula-style vampirism, right?
Okay. Like,
he's strong and fast, and, you know, he doesn't age, he can hypnotize people, he can turn into mist and wolves and stuff. He can go out in the sun, but he's far less powerful in the sun, you know?
Okay.
And he's pale, and he's kind of, you know, Dracula. Cool, you know, that sort of thing.
Gotta wear a lot of sunscreen. He's got SPF 2000.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna just read to you, because I was inspired by you last week. You wrote like a whole thing of the first episode. It was like a whole description, so I decided to do the same thing. So Fred Earnhardt, no relation, is an apathetic early 30s man with a recent divorce,
no relation to
debt, Earnhardt is like the
Amelia Earhart.
What's his name?
That's what I was.
No,
thinking.
The NASCAR
It's related to
guy.
Amelia Earhart. Oh.
He could be related.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt. People are gonna ask him always, "Are you related to Dale Earnhardt?" And he's gonna be like, "No, it's just
No relation.
It's just my last name. No relation."
And then in the last episode, you find out he is related, Dale.
Yeah, that he's Dale Earnhardt's brother. And we could actually get Dale Earnhardt to show up and that would be fun.
Maybe Dale Earnhardt voices him too.
Yeah, is Dale Earnhardt dead or alive? We don't know.
Probably, I don't know.
If he's alive, we'll get him in. If he's dead,
we'll still get him in. We can figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get him in. A CGI. AI.
Look, they had John Lennon released a song this week, all right? We can figure out how to get Dale Earnhardt in if he's dead.
Yeah, we could do anything. We could put his corpse on a marionette thing and just have him dance around. It'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares.
His family
but one
might.
day his family might. Well, not Fred won't, because again, he's no relation. So one day Carl decides to turn his life around and look on the good side of things, give back, and generally become a productive member of society. His first charitable act is to give blood at the Knights Only Blood Bank. Almost predictably, Fred is transformed into one of the undead by his doctor, who, the doctor is going to be very obviously like a Nosferatu, bald, big, gross teeth, long ears, and he's going to be like, yes, of course, come in, ooh, yummy, yum.
He's got a face mask on, like an N95 face mask, and it keeps slipping. You can see his fucked up nose, and you're like, he keeps holding it back up.
Exactly, but Fred's never given back to anyone his entire life, so he's like, maybe this is just what doctors are. Then maybe this is what blood banks are like. Whatever. So he's infected with a dirty needle and turned into one of the undead. At first, Fred is devastated. But after accidentally taking down a drug lord, he decides to use his powers for good and become the Scum Sucker. Yeah. So that's that's episode 1, basically, is that he's going to, be transformed into a vampire. He's going to, wake up in a dumpster, very Morbius, like Morbius, the best movie ever made.
Great movie.
Yeah. And he's going to be like, and then he's, gonna stumble into a club and they're gonna try and beat him up like they do in movies. And he's going to murder a drug lord in his, vampiric haze. And then he's going to, wake up the next day in his apartment and he's gonna be like, oh, what happened? I'm a vampire. He's gonna figure out rather quickly, because I hate that in shows where it's like somebody's very obviously been transformed into a creature of the night, and they're like, what? What's that?
What am I?
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna know, like, almost instantly. He's gonna be like, I'm a fucking vampire, dude. Look at me. I can turn into a bat. What else can do that?
It'd be funny if at first he thinks he's a werewolf.
Oh, that would be funny.
Right.
He's like,
I'm a werewolf, and he's going around. Maybe at the end of the episode, he finally realizes, like, oh shit, I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
Not a werewolf. He's a little disappointed, maybe.
He's going to look at the newspaper that gets delivered to him. He's one of 3 people in the city who still gets newspapers delivered to him because he doesn't know how to get it canceled. Like the system that they have set up for, to cancel your
really
subscription is so complicated.
You have to mail in. It's like you have to mail in a letter to like this, this agency in New York, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like that, and it's a whole thing, and then you gotta wait like 90 days, and then you have to mail a second letter within the second fortnight, and he has no idea what the hell that means. It's like, what?
He's like, it's like $36 a month, and he's like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
If I don't spend
single-handedly keeping
the money,
this newspaper company afloat.
Exactly, but they find this drug dealer. He's been completely drained of blood, and he was like the biggest drug lord in the city. And so the newspaper dubs him the Scum Sucker, as this great vigilante hero. And he decides to use his powers for good, and Dawn, the the costume of the Scum Sucker. And I think it would be funny if, because obviously he's going to be like in a normal, like vampire look, like trench coat, black clothes, the sort of thing. But we could have a fun, like montage at the very end where he's trying to decide a costume,
Yeah.
And he's got like a Superman costume, but it's got 2 S's instead of just the one. And it's like he's in a Spider-Man costume, but he's like, his fangs keep poking through the face mask, all the stuff. I do realize that the initials for Scum Sucker are SS, and so we do have to be very careful about that. just
the
in
SS
general.
strike again. That'd be hilarious on the newspaper. The SS strikes again.
Yeah. And he's like, ooh, and they have to like, he, keeps giving back, Scum Sucker is like...
Maybe one episode they change his name out of like popular request to maybe something that involves a couple of K's.
Mm-hmm. Oh no!
They're just constantly the worst acronyms constantly get attributed to him.
But he's like, Scum Sucker has to make sure like he's not specifically targeting any Jewish communities and no Jewish criminals. He's just like, no, this it's a bad look, man. I'm just gonna stay away from you guys. You guys keep doing what you're doing. Good luck. Have a good day. You could have
an episode where he takes out a drug lord, but like it ends up the final, he kills him, and it's in the fight ends up in a synagogue, and then the newspaper the next day, SS strikes drug lord in synagogue. You're like,
SS
fuck,
breaks. SS, breaks glass in the synagogue, and he's like, "Oh no, this is so bad." Oh Jesus. All right, but that's the first episode. Now we've got some of the side characters, right? So we've got Eric Matthews is Fred's roommate and the guy in the chair, but with a stay-at-home job and with a stay-at-home job and a medical marijuana license and no love life to speak of, Eric functions more as a distraction rather than support. So he's basically just sitting in his room, getting high all the time. He's doing like one of the super basic, maybe he has like 3 stay-at-home jobs. You know how people do that?
Yeah.
They'll have 3, work from home jobs. And so he's just got like seemingly unlimited money, but he's just doing 3 really basic work from home jobs. And he's just got tons of weed. Medical marijuana license out the wazoo. So, he's more of just like kind of, he's the guy in the chair, but if the guy in the chair was completely useless 90% of the time.
You could have sometimes where like he'll call in to the Scum Sucker. He'll be like, and he'll think that he dialed a different number. He'll be like, is this Papa John's? Can I get a double large pepperoni
meat
pizza?
Lovers, garlic knots. I'll gotta hide those from him. Garlic knots and what else? Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Can you put garlic on the picture too? Pizza too. Maybe he's a big garlic guy. That could be part of it.
Yeah. Maybe he's like, he keeps fucking taking my pizza in the middle of the night. I know he's doing it. He's going to the fridge. He's taking a slice. Can you rub garlic on the box? Like, make sure that the whole thing's covered in garlic. I want it to burn him when he touches it.
You get like garlic crust.
And
then, that'd help.
Yeah, come on. And then Scum Sucker's like, Eric, it's me. Also, are you talking to Papa John's employees like this? Because they'll figure out I'm a vampire so easily if they're delivering extra super garlicky pizza to you every day or whatever.
Nah, I don't think you're allergic.
Yeah.
Why is he from New York? I think he's from New York now, just based on the pizza thing.
I agree. Hey, they'll think you're allergic. Come on, man. I'm walking.
Come on, man.
Eric, you're not walking anywhere. You haven't left the house in like 3 days.
I haven't seen you stand up in years.
Oh my god. Eric, get it together, man. You convinced your Uber Eats driver to pick up your weed for you. That's a level of lazy below like Uber Eats itself. Like, what's wrong with you? It's like, I know. I need to get my shit together. So you want some pizza or not? And our second side character is Vampella. Is Fred's neighbor and a rival vampire who attempts to maintain the mystique of vampirism often to disastrous results. She is reluctant to help Fred in his nightly pursuits, but she often does to ensure he remains, quote-unquote, under the radar, even though there are multiple news stories written about him constantly.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like, think of all of the sexy vampire ladies, in fiction. She's got, like, the ridiculous costume and all the stuff, like Vampirella and whatever. She's like that, but she's not. No one really finds it sexy because it's just so completely, like, impractical to, like, walking around that everyone just kind of comments on that, and it's like the sexiness factor goes away, and so she often just puts on, like, a baggy sweater over it. And I really wanted to avoid the idea that, like, okay, well, we have two moron guys, and then there's the woman, and the woman is the fun police, and she's the one who, like, keeps everything working, because that happens. Yeah, exactly, because that happens a lot in fiction, in TV shows. So she's also
an idiot. Yeah.
She's a complete moron, and she, like, constantly is like, because she's also a vampire, but she's, trying to maintain the vampiric mystique while also seemingly ignoring the fact that literally every facet of vampire media has been explored in every, like, conceivable genre, Like, she'll just ignore that fact and be like, no, the vampires we are still a dark, mysterious creatures of the night. Humanity has no idea what we're on about. No clue what the vampiric society is like. And then I'll be like, Fred or Eric will be watching Blade in the background. I'd be like, is it like this? She'd be like, yeah, it's kind of like that, but different. Yeah. It's different than that. So, shut up, Eric. All that sort of stuff. But yeah. Those are our three main characters, and I think we can add some more, like, side characters. Like, maybe there's a police officer, like a detective who's trying to hunt down Scum Sucker, right?
Yeah.
He's got, like,
Detective John Stakes.
John Stakes, yes, I love that. That's great. I'm writing that down right now. Detective.
Or Woody Stakes.
Steaks.
Woody Steaks.
Or Woody Steaks. That's his nickname. And he's like a hard and fast detective. He's a loose cannon, but he gets results. The whole thing. But he could also be a werewolf, and he's just kind of like, I don't like vampires. Stupid. Werewolves are better. It's kind of like
you're saying he's a werewolf?
Like, yeah.
Okay, but what if there is like a girl that he's interested in, and he thinks that, for some reason, it's no connection at all, but he thinks that Scum Sucker is interested in her as well. We have, like, a pseudo-Twilight situation going on.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun. She's got a romance between both of them, but she also doesn't, because she's not interested in either of them. And then it turns out, like, she's a lesbian. Like, the whole episode comes to a head when she's, like, they see her, they're having, like, this huge werewolf-vampire fight in the middle of the street, throwing cars at each other, like, breaking windows and all this stuff, throwing each other into buildings, and then they both see that she's in a Chinese restaurant having a date with another woman, and they're like, ah, shit.
Well, God, see, the Scum Sucker isn't even interested in her remotely, so it's all in this, in Woody Stakes' head.
In Woody Stakes' head, yeah, okay, that's
he just thinks that this vampire is, like, coming onto his girl that's not even his girl, and it's the whole reason he hates him.
Yeah, and then at the very end, they'll see her in the on the date with a woman, and Scum Sucker will be like, yeah, man, I'm looking at her Instagram right now. It's just full of pride flags. Like, she's like very out and open about being a lesbian. It's like, Instagram? I don't understand social media. I'm 300 years old. I'm a very old werewolf. I think I'm just gonna go home, reevaluate my life, and then we can have a fun little thing where the date that she's on, like, she turns around and it's a Medusa, or she's a succubus, like something like that. You know, little bit of fun, supernatural stuff going on there in the background.
Oh, okay. No, I think this would be great if they're leaving the date and there's a mirror by the window, and the person that the girl is dating, like the new character, not the girl that the werewolf likes, they walk by the mirror and it doesn't have a reflection, implying she's a vampire. It was a vampire that was, you know, stealing his girl. Just it was also a girl.
A different vampire, not the vampire he thought.
So he was right the whole time. He just didn't realize it was a different vampire.
Yeah, great. That's great. And yeah, we could have like clues scattered around. Like maybe he you know, she works at a at the police station. Like he looks at her and she's got like holes on the side of her neck. Like she's got 2, you know, vampire bite marks on the side of her neck. And maybe she's like, you know, she doesn't like looking at crosses. Like she's got to become a thrall almost. And so he's just like instantly assumes Scum Sucker because it's the only vampire he knows of. But bum, it's a different vampire entirely. Ooh, fun. Ooh. So I've got a few more episodes. I do like that episode though of Woody Steaks. I've got a few more episodes written down. So Fred and Eric pin down what appears to be a drug smuggling ring by tracking arcade machine shipments. All right, so they're like, Fred, you know, or Eric appears to be useful for the first time in a while, and he, you know, finds out that like there's these, you know, 3 places have been getting new arcade machines shipped to them every single week for the past, you know, 6 months or something, and nobody plays arcade machines, and why would you need that many new ones, you know? So they find this smuggling ring, and they're like, it has to be drugs or guns or something illegal. And so Scum Sucker goes and he infiltrates, and it's a whole lot of skulking around in the darkness, and he, you know, tears a guy in half. I would like this show to be rather violent. You know, in the you know, kind of action vigilante parts of it, it's like super violent, and then people will just be like, mate, calm down, that's stupid, you know? Like the dialogue is naturalistic, but then you get like just Scum Sucker like drains an entire man of all of his blood in like 5 seconds, and then, you know, throws him against a wall and he turns to dust or something. So they're tracking this down, they find, you know, all these things, and we could have like a fun action sequence where like he is on the top of a moving van, and then there's like the guys shooting from the sides of the van, very much Spider-Man PS4, if you remember when you had to catch all the vans. You know, he's got a bunch of guys in the vans. Yeah, he does.
I don't.
Oh, well, imagine you get it together, Jake. Play the game. It's fun. They have it on Steam now. But he's got to like punch some guys in the back of the van. He's flying around, uses his cool Dracula powers. He goes through. He stops the van. He, you know, steals the costume of one of them, and he drives it to the location. And they only discover that this isn't a drug smuggling ring at all, or a gun smuggling ring at all. The arcade machines are actually, they're false. Obviously, they're faux arcade machines that have been filled with collectible body pillows that are very much on the DL of the body pillow market. And so they have to keep them very, very silent. And turns out Eric knew that the entire time. Eric wasn't trying to help stop a drug smuggling ring. He was trying to get a collectible body pillow.
Oh,
He's been looking for these for months. He can't find them anywhere. He finally figured out where they were coming from. Bada boom, bada bing. End of the episode. Yeah, he gets one. Come on. Fred may be a vampire, but he's not soulless. He'll get his buddy, the body pillow. Yeah. Alright, so episode 3, we have Vampella gets obsessed with this new action RPG, and Eric joins in her obsession. Fred. His name was originally going to be Carl, but I changed it to Fred. Fred attempts to get into this game, you know, he wants to get into this action role-playing video game, but he just can't. He doesn't find it interesting. He thinks it's lame, not fun, but, you know, he's whatever. And then wait, one sec. Yeah, there we go. He decides, you know, everyone's obsessed with this game. And so he decides that it has to be some sort of vampiric obsession. You know, there's some sort of magic going on in this game that's taking over everyone's minds. And so he decides he's going to investigate, and we get this whole thing of him, like, going to the studio, and he finds just what seemingly seems like a normal game studio. And then all the employees are acting a little bit, you know, suspicious, a little weird, you know, that sort of thing. And so he, you know, decides to investigate. He doesn't know how to hack. He steals somebody's, you know, computer, and he brings it back to Eric, and he makes Eric undo it and like get the stuff inside or whatever. He finds out that there's like a specialty thing that they're talking about and all this stuff, like this super secret meeting that they have to go to. And so he decides to investigate even more, and he infiltrates the secret meeting, and I haven't decided what he finds in the secret meeting because it is I don't want it to be too dark, is the thing. Because it's going to be like the surprise, the twist of the episode is that it's not magic or anything. But Fred is going to get the lead actor and game designer, like the lead face of the game and the game designer, he's going to get him canceled so everybody stops playing the game. So I don't know what he finds though, because I'm like, he finds a dog fighting ring, but that seems kind of dark. That seems a little, you know.
What if it was a silly animal, like a hamster fighting ring?
Yeah, there we go. We got a peacock fighting ring. Yeah.
Raccoon.
He gets a raccoon. He finds a raccoon fighting ring, and the lead game designer and the lead actor for the game, the mocap actor for the game, have been, you know, secretly betting all of their winnings on raccoon fighting rings and you know, panda fighting rings. There you go. That's good, because those are silly animals, and they, you know, they're bad. They're bad animals.
They're pretty lazy. That'd be funny. It'd be a really lazy fight.
Yeah,
sloth fighting ring also works.
Maybe they actually like put boxing gloves on them, so they're just like slowly wailing into each other. But it's just like it takes 10 minutes for, you know, a round. But he finds this out, and he, you know, takes all the pictures, and he puts a stop to it, and all of the actors get canceled. Everyone involved with the game gets canceled, and then, you know, jump forward to like 2 days later. He's talking to Vampella and Eric, and they're like, "What? We never played that game. That'd be ridiculous. That we're not interested in that. That guy was a monster, you know, that sort of thing." Like everyone whose favorite show of all time was House of Cards, and now it's a different show. We all know it's a different show now. That sort of thing. And then we have episode 4. This one is more of it's like a comedy of errors. I wanted to do something that's a bit more of like a silent movie, like Buster Keaton style. So, Fred murders a priest. That's how we start with this, is he like slaughters a priest inside of a church thinking that he's a serial killer. But turns out the priest is just a normal priest. And he has to take on the appearance of the priest, right? Because, like, let's say they look very, very similar, but the priest has, you know, glasses and a mustache or something. And so he's got to take on the appearance of the priest to impersonate him for the week of silent meditation. in a chapel. So, we have a vampire who's not allowed to speak in a chapel trying to avoid crosses and holy water for, the whole time. And I think that this would be just a fun, silly comedy of errors style thing. Buster Keaton, the cross falls down and it misses him just, he's standing like right in between one of the cruxes, and the cross fall down and it misses him by that much. Or maybe it doesn't miss him and hits him right on the head, and he's like doubly in pain because crosses are bad for vampires, and he just got hit in the head with like a 300-pound bit of wood. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I love a silent movie. I love a silent physical comedy sort of a situation. This is the last episode that I have written down, and this one's gonna tie a little bit more into Fred's backstory. So, Fred uncovers a serial killer's trail and tracks them through the dingiest, darkest parts of the city. The real scummy parts of the city, where the Scum Sucker should live. And, people talk about him in fear because they're worried. They don't want to get attacked by the Scum Sucker. And after weeks of, intense investigation, Fred discovers that his ex-wife, Angela Van Helsing, is the serial killer, and she's been killing vampires. He didn't really put together in his mind that his wife's name was Angela Van Helsing, and that maybe she had something to do with vampires. And so it leads to this climactic battle where they're both using their powers. She's got like crosses and holy water and like a cool crossbow sort of situation. She's descendant from Van Helsing, the Hugh Jackman version of Van Helsing, so she's got all the cool crossbow powers. She's shooting stuff, and she's got a big hat on, and all this, and he's using his vampire powers and all this stuff, and fighting her. And she's like, also while the fight is happening, she's explaining that these are vampires who've been killing innocents, and she had to put them down, all this stuff. And vampire bodies don't turn into dust like in other media. They just kind of stop breathing and, that sort of thing. And so she's, been doing this, and it's a whole, battle, and she realizes he's the Scum Sucker. Like, she realizes he's a vigilante and that he's, kind of turned his life around and had something to dedicate, turned his afterlife around, his, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so they kind of make up throughout the fight. They are realizing that both of them has a calling and it doesn't have to do with each other anymore, that sort of thing. And then they complete the fight. Neither of them wins because she's, got all the training and he's got all the powers. Neither of them wins, but they decide that both of them are doing good enough work that they could just leave each other alone, right? And then we get back. We come back and we realize that this whole time, this has been a story that Fred has been telling to Vampella and Eric. He's sitting in his house, he's drinking a nice cup of warm blood, and he's telling this tale of what happened. And Vampella and Eric are like, well, we're so glad that you were finally able to put things to rest with your ex-wife, all that stuff. And they, kind of nod and are happy. And Eric goes and he starts, playing, StarCraft or whatever. And Fred, gets up and he does his weird Dracula upside down sleep sort of situation. And Vampella seems to go back to her house, her apartment that's across the hallway. But then we reveal later that she, we don't reveal later. We reveal now that she's, she flies out the window and she goes to Angela's house and she, rips her head off.
Damn.
Because she's all about keeping vampires safe. That's her whole thing. And so she finds out that there's a Van Helsing. No way, no how. No way, no how. But yeah, that's the end of episode 5. That's the episodes I have. But again, these are 11-minute episodes, so they should be, there's just like silly ones. And
I
then
think
there's
you
ones...
should blow the entire show's budget on the fight scene between, was it
Angela.
Vampella and Angela? Like, it should be the most unnecessarily epic thing. Like, people are going to be watching this episode, and they're like, it seems like it's over, but it says there's 10 minutes left. And then it's just the longest, most, like, way high budget vampire hunter fight scene ever.
Yeah, she's on a...
And then at the end, you could sort of imply that she might have survived so that we could have, like, a second, fight later.
Of course. They're on a mountainside for some reason, then they're above, like, Mount Doom. Like, we don't explain how they got to these places, but it's just the most expensive locations that we can think of. That's great.
It's really, like, long and over the top. Like, remember how Family Guy used to have that, like, the Family Guy versus the chicken, robot chicken thing?
Yeah.
It's like that, where it just goes on for so long, and they're both surviving things that they probably shouldn't survive.
They definitely shouldn't survive. One, like, she gets a stake through the heart, but she just takes it out. She's like, fine. And she grows her heart back. The whole thing. Yeah,
like, bites the other girl, sucks some blood to get some health back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
of course.
To get some vitality. And then, the Van Helsing stabs herself with, like, a vampire antidote so that she doesn't get turned into one. Like, it's a whole long thing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
That'd be great. I like that a lot. Yeah. But do you have any other ideas for episodes? Anything you may suggest?
Are there any? So we had a werewolf. We got vampires. Are there any creatures that, like, should there be any nocturnal creatures we should also throw in there?
We could have ghouls. Like little, like, guys who goes to graveyards at night, and, like, little green ghouls, they go to graveyards at night and eat the corpses. That could be a thing. We could have, like, the mystery of the graveyard bandit or whatever. And it's
instead of being like a terror, like, some sort of, crime, it's really more of like a pest problem. It's like having rats or something.
Exactly. He's just like, wow,
clear them out for the graveyard keeper.
We got ghouls, man. The graveyard keeper and him team up, and it's like, oh, this is gonna be, super lame because the Scum Sucker's a super powered vampire vigilante, and this guy's just a graveyard keeper, and he's like in his 60s, and he's got a shovel, but he's just it's like we do a bunch of hero shots with him, and he's like holding his own, and they're both equal, and it's like, what happened? Why is this guy so powerful? It's like,
it would be interesting if the graveyard keeper, we have that sort of mystique about him, He seemingly knows everything about the mystical world as well, but, like, we don't really get into why. Maybe he's, like, secretly a wizard, but we won't actually explain that.
He appears out of mist. Yeah, of course. Because that's the heart of this show, is not explaining things. Because why would you?
Explaining things sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Just have things happen. Tell, don't show. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, that's everything I got. So if you don't have any more ideas, I think that's the end of the episode. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me is always my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jake Cloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, we will be here next week with a brand new televisual series for you to imagine and enjoy. Thank you.